Hey guys, welcome back to WeWatchedAMovie. Jay.
I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, hey guys, welcome back to WeWatchedAMovie. I'm Jay, and this is Mike. And then you're going to go on to some review, and we're going to talk about this movie, and we're going to curse a lot, and people are going to say that we're unprofessional, and some people will like it, and then others won't, and people will subscribe, people might unsubscribe. There will be a few likes on there, a few views, not as much as you would like.
I think you're full of shit.
I've been here before.
We watched a movie. Yeah. We watched a movie. We watched it.
This is a spoiler review. We've already done the non-spoiler review, so go check that out if you haven't seen that before. So here we go. Edge of Tomorrow. Tom Cruise. First off, I want to talk about is the aliens that they come down. You know, they don't give a backstory really at all, the aliens. It's really just thrusting you in with your dick. There is no warning really about them. It's quick as shit. I mean, you see the asteroid come in, you hear the news reports, and all of a sudden the aliens there. I mean, they must come from the planet Dreadlock. Because they have all these dreadlocks, and they're like fucking creatures that are like spindly. I don't even know what they are. Like, I can't even describe. They just look like animals with like long friggin', that's the dreadlocks, and they're running around, they get in the dirt, and they friggin' move really fast, and they kill your ass, but there's no rhyme or reason to them. Like, they don't even explain in the movie really at all what their purpose is. Yeah. They're like, they're here and they're killing us.
They're here to fuck us up.
But I guess they kind of do, like, they want our resources, and you only get that from a drunken bunch of people in a pub. They're like, why are they here? And he's like, well, they want our shit. And it's like, well, maybe they don't. Maybe they want to do this. And then Tom Cruise is like, I've done this 1,000,000 times today. Yeah. And that's it. So that's okay. I get that because they don't want to spend so much time focusing on the story of the aliens. And that's usually that's a dicey kind of thing to do because most people get kind of what I need to know. I have to know now. Why are they here?
Yeah, but they're just
it's kind of scary.
In action all over your face,
but it's
so
kind
you can't help it.
I don't want it in my face, but I don't. It's actually pretty cool because you know most people get so caught up in the aliens' motives and shit that they don't focus enough on the special effects and the actual story of the human part of it.
Yeah,
and that's what they wanted to avoid, I think. So that's all right.
Yeah, they save time with all that shit. They don't go deep and dark and like all this shit like that we've seen before. They just say, hey, it's an alien invasion movie. We're fucked. Look at these two people trying to battle out of it. Time travel, aliens, all this shit. Deal with it. Here we go. Boom. And it's fucking
I think
fun.
that somebody that wrote the script was like, you know, he's like, I've got this great story. It's awesome. It's got all this great time travel. It's got all these action sequences, and these people look like robots, and they run around like this, and it's gonna be amazing. And the guy was like, well, who's the antagonist? And he's like, aliens. It's like, well, what's their deal? Why are they here? It's like, they're aliens. It's like, but why are they here? It's like, they're fucking aliens. I don't know. They're here.
Tom Cruise.
That's the coolest thing about it because, you know, if you've just got to have balls when you write a script. It's like, the aliens come down and now Tom Cruise has to kick ass in a mechanized suit. It's like, you're like,
done.
That's it. They're just
But
aliens.
it works. Right? It does work. Like it's a fun ass popcorn summer special effects movie, but it's not empty either. Like, you give a shit about Tom Cruise because he's such a badass actor, and I don't even care if you hate him or not. Some of the shit he does personally, whatever. But he's a badass actor. Like, he does his own stunts and shit. He's underrated as far as action movies go. I mean, people know he does his own stunts, but nobody when you think about action stars, Tom Cruise doesn't really pop in your head. But he's it. I mean,
Tom Cruise is a great actor.
He's the last movie star.
There's the main hub of what controls all these aliens. It's called, like, I don't know.
The Omega.
The Omega, yeah. It's like a world mind. It looks like a nutsack. Like, it looks like a testicle that comes out and just a ball that hangs there.
It's like a testicle had sex with a garbage disposal.
Yeah. Wow. Very descriptive, and it makes no sense. But yeah, so this thing controls time in a way, and they have these other creatures called the Alphas. Is it the Alpha? Yeah, the Alphas. Alpha Omega. Somebody read the Bible.
I thought that too. I was like, oh my god.
But
I was like, oh my god.
So one of these things, basically what they find out is that these aliens know everything that's going to happen. They know exactly how we're going to invade them. When they've taken all Europe, they know exactly how we're going to fight them because they can reset time over and over again at the same day, and they can prepare for it. And Tom Cruise kills the Alpha, and if you kill an Alpha alien and you get hit with their blood, you get the power. If you get the power, you get the money.
I got the power.
That's totally not. It's like,
what?
So fuck. Now you got me singing a song.
I got the power.
I know what you're saying, but I don't know. It's off key. But yeah, okay.
It's not off key.
Yeah, it is.
I'm a great singer.
Now we got to reset everything. So the thing is, they know everything that's going on. When Tom Cruise gets this power, the only stipulation is he has to die at the end of it. If he lives or something, if he loses the blood and they transfer blood, he loses the power. So it's kind of quirky when it comes to that kind of shit, but still, it's badass.
What they do eventually, as time goes on, they just kind of take you along with them. Like, you got to follow what's going on. And Tom Cruise is like, I've been here before. This is what happens here. We don't have to show you every single time something happens. And what I loved about it, though, is that you're sitting there and you can tell how annoying that must fucking be. Every single day. 1,000 times, wake up, do the same thing, go out there, get killed. It's like when you're playing a video game that doesn't have a save.
Yeah.
You know? You're getting sold for it, and you're down to the end of it, and you're almost at the end of the level, and you fucking die again, and you're like, I have to go all the way back over to the hospital in Grand Theft Auto and drive all the way back to the fucking mission and do all that shit. Imagine that in real life, only you die.
You know, but if you die, you can start it over. He didn't. I would have taken advantage of that shit. I would have done some crazy shit for a little while. But when he finally turns it on, and at the end, or towards the end, when he becomes like the man, he becomes the man. Like, he's like, no emotion. He doesn't try to save anybody anymore. He's like, get the fuck out of my way.
Yeah.
It's badass.
Balls really drop.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Come with the kick drum, come with the kick drum. Gary,
why are you
on the kick
focused
drum?
on come?
So but the whole movie's fine. Like, sitting here talking about it right now, I want to go watch it again.
Yeah, it is a great
because the 3D is badass. And at first I was like, this is confusing. I don't like the way the 3D looks. But it's like a video game. Like, you're inside of this shit.
Yeah.
And like when they're in the plane, you can really see it. It's like you feel like you're playing the game because people are looking at them in the face, but they're looking at the camera and they're like, there's a dead man in that suit and all the shit that they were saying or whatever, but it was so fucking fun. And the one scene when he drops down and he's like swinging around shit and everything's going nuts, that was so fucking cool.
Oh, I know.
I
It was
love
awesome
that.
shit. They keep on improving on that scene too. It's like every time he goes on the beach, you always get a cooler scene and a cooler scene and a cooler scene. And like it's not like the special effects aren't. The aliens, the way they look, I'm not like overly impressed with them. You're not gonna be like, oh my god, I've never seen anything like that before. But the way they shoot those action sequences are awesome.
Yeah, the
Amazingly
3D
awesome.
makes the aliens cool because they're all coming at you and shit like that.
She carries around this big fucking sword. And the thing that sword looks like, if you guys have ever played a Final Fantasy game, it looks like Cloud Sword from Final Fantasy. It's called the Buster Sword. It's this big ass giant sword. And I'm like, damn, bitch, you got it going. Oh! It's like,
I just love how they kept going back to the yoga scene, where she was like, I could do that groundhog shit all day long. But
would you just stand there like a creep, let's watch her over and over, like,
but she was so damn good in this, dude. She could play a badass female lead, scream queen, whatever. Like, I mean, she's really good in that, and she's hot as shit. It comes off naturally. There's a lot of funny shit in it between Tom Cruise and her. Like, the way when he gets hit by that truck, I'll laugh my ass off. And one time he gets killed, and he's like, oh, fuck! That was awesome,
well,
too.
you know, you think that it would kind of get boring after a while because they're shooting the same day over and over, but they keep it fresh enough to where you're still interested in it. You're like, okay, what's he going to do now? I mean, is he going to die, and how's he going to die? Like, I got focused on that. I was like, how's he going to die this time?
Yeah.
Like, he gets hit by a car, he gets run over by a fucking truck because he's trying to roll, but it's cool because you actually see the progression of how he actually gets better and better. Because you got to remember, he starts off as a complete puss. He doesn't want to do anything with the war. He just wants to take pictures and do it from afar, and he's a major. He gets demoted. That's the quickest demotion I've ever seen in my life. He goes into the general, basically, how to blackmail him. He's like, you know, when this war is over and they're looking for somebody to blame, they might blame you because I can make that happen. He's like, oh, really? And then he's like, arrest that man. And then he's immediately demoted to private, and he has to start all over from his rank, and then that's when he starts becoming badass. So quickly, Bill Paxton, again, I'm going to mention, we've mentioned in the non-spoiler review, I'm glad to see him in this role again because he just gets so underused.
He's fun as hell, too.
Yeah, he is.
I like the transition Tom Cruise goes through, because when he starts, like you said, he's a big puss or whatever, and he goes in there, but he's also like Rico Suave, like marketing.
Puss and books.
But he's also like Rico Suave, like marketing guy. Like, he's, you know, when he's like spinning the stuff and stuff like that, like Tom Cruise is perfect as that like hokey, like clean cut guy.
You know what? The way he talks to the general, and he's telling him why he would not be good on the front lines. If he was trying to pitch me something, I was like, "Well, that sounds like a good idea." So I'm supposed to like hold these electrodes and like shock myself. Like, yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Like, I believe.
Okay,
you.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
but then his transition's good too, because when he becomes a badass, you believe it, or when it's just a believable transition. That's what makes the whole movie work.
The alphas, which are they're bluish looking aliens. They have like blue blood, and by the way, they all look like mechanical almost. They look like they've got like mechanical,
They all look
biological.
like Parallax from Green Lantern.
Yeah, Phalanx in the X-Men comic books. They kind of look like that, but the alphas are like 1 in 65 million out of all of them, and because the thing is, the alphas understand that they have this power to reset it, and they're controlled by the omegas, which can control time.
Yeah, whenever an alpha dies, the omega resets the day.
And there is 1 second, or not 1 second. There's one scene in the movie when the whole thing is he's got to destroy the omega to win the war, and he gets there, and the alpha knows that he's trying to destroy it, but he also knows the alpha knows that if he just shoots Tom Cruise and doesn't kill him, lets him bleed out, and he'll lose this power that he's got because the blood's inside him. So the Alpha is trying to prevent him from dying because you know as long as he keeps dying, isn't that a fucking shit though? Isn't that a great? You gotta keep dying. It's like God damn, just don't make it hurt.
Going to the ending though, you get towards it, and Tom Cruise is like, okay, this is for real now. He's like, you know, if I die, I die.
Yeah.
And it seems
no more resets for you.
It's weird when you get to that point though, because you're just so used to him like, okay, I can start over at any time. They go in there and it gets kind of confusing for a second as to what happens because you think, okay, they're both like, we're gonna die. We're not gonna make it out of here. We've made our peace with that. But then Tom Cruise goes in there. And it kind of happened quick. I mean, he kind of killed it quick. He just like dropped the grenades on it. And then he gets stabbed with this tentacle thing or whatever. And he dies. But when he's dying there, it's like, oh, okay, I see what's going to happen. Because the blood falls all in from the Omega. Now, the Omega has different powers. It's the Ultra fucking Alpha, you know?
Yeah.
So it can actually, I don't know if it can set its own timeline. Yeah, it can pretty much set its own timeline. It controls all this shit. But then all of a sudden, Tom Cruise wakes up on a plane, on a helicopter, and the people are acting like they're still going to go to war, but then Dominic Gleeson's doing a news conference and he's like, there was a big boom and basically all the shits are dying on their own. We think we pretty much won the war. And then Tom Cruise is fine. He knows what he did, but it's like an alternate timeline and it kind of gets confusing. It kind of seemed like they were like, Happy Hollywood ending real quick.
Yeah.
A little bit. But I'm all right with that. I'm just all right. The movie was just so damn fun, and you have to stretch yourself anyway to even believe any of it's going on. There's ways to explain it. Like I've looked at some other people's like explanations from it, and there are ways to explain it if you get really deep into how that actually makes sense. But even if it does a little bit, I'm all right with that. It's not a perfect movie. That's why I gave it a 9.5. But it's the funnest movie this summer that's come out.
Yeah, you can go and look if you really want to get into it, the string theory and the parallel world theory and shit like that, because he goes back and he resets the day. And at the beginning of the movie, you'll see a scene where he's coming in on a helicopter landing and he's meeting everybody and getting ready to go to war. And that's where the movie basically ends. It goes right back to that scene where he's getting ready to land on the tarmac, meets everybody, and you're like, what the fuck? But he knows everything. Like when the day's reset, he remembers everything.
Yeah.
So he's still remembering what happened. I think he remembers him even dying, but Emily Blunt doesn't remember anything. And he goes there, and at the end of the movie, he meets her, and she's like, "Do I know you?" And it's like, the same thing. He's like, and then it just ends. And it's not gonna butt fuck your brain. Like it's just what happened. It didn't butt fuck my brain.
No.
My brain got fucked normally. So it's not like 12 Monkeys is a really dark, weird ending, and how they did it with that. This movie, you just pretty much know he's created an alternate timeline, like Mike said, and it's a parallel world now. Everything's been reset. He's gone back. The war's over. If you did jump in the future and you changed something, and you jumped in the past and you changed something, and you've created this new world, like Back to the Future even, and how Doc was talking about, well, we've created this alternate timeline, now we're in here. That's pretty much what happened. That's the only thing I can think of. And they didn't have to explain a lot to you. They don't really want to lead you by the hand and tell you, this is what happened. Because if they had done that, then it just overcomplicates the movie, and then you forget all about the special effects, you forget all about the storyline between. Because really it's a human struggle between Tom Cruise and these aliens and his relationship with Emily Blunt and how he's trying to survive and get better and better.
Just think about the rest of the movie, okay? Think about how just like almost lighthearted, even though all this stuff's going on, the rest of the movie is. Like all these funny deaths and shit like that, even though he's dying, it's funny, and all this crazy shit's happening, and there's these little jokes here and there, and the movie, all in all, is really lighthearted. So when you go to the very end of this movie and you have this fun, crazy adventure with all this crazy 3D and crazy shit going on, and then you get to the end of the movie and it's like serious, they died, here's their funeral, movie's over.
Yeah.
I just think you wouldn't have walked out with the fun feeling that you walked out of this movie with. So I'm okay, even if there's a tiny plot hole in there. It's a time travel movie. They all have them. This movie did a really good job of it up to that point. So if that's a flaw, it's a flaw. I accept it, and I'm just going to enjoy the movie as what it is. It's popcorn fun entertainment with good acting in it.
Your hero still lives. He's gonna get the girl eventually because he's a smooth talking motherfucker. You know he's gonna get it. He's gonna get her in bed. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be the end of the story. And I'm happy with it. I was satisfied with it. So that's a 9.5 overall. Completely.
Yeah, and then again, if you want to think about it this way, they could set up as a sequel really easily. They could.
Because they killed the aliens. They're dead.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep. How did they die?
I knew you were going to say no. But no, listen to me. Let me finish!
No!
What they could do easily was, remember when he had the visions and he thought he knew where the Omega was, and he kept going back to it, and then he found out it was a trap, like they were doing. And the whole time, what the Omega was doing was it wanted the humans to believe they were going to win the war. It kept resetting that same day over and over again because it wanted them to believe. Like it did that on purpose. That could have easily been another
trap. But the Omega
trap.
didn't die in that either.
No, that's what I'm saying. It could have just been a trap. The whole thing could have been a trap set by the Omega, trying to get them right where they want them to think that they won the war. You start the second movie, it was like that whole thing was just a trap. I knew it was too easy. The whole thing, everything's worse than it was. There's 6 Omegas, whatever the fuck you want to do with it.
Well, the only thing I would say yes to that, but it seemed like the asteroid that came down only carried that one Omega. Because they said that because the entire part of Europe, all of them died.
Maybe the Omega didn't really die. It just tricked them and put it in their brains.
I don't know. I mean, he blew up that test.
It's the Omega,
And
Jay.
besides that, you know what? The second thing is, if they didn't make a sequel, what are you gonna call it? Edge of Tomorrow again? Like, it just like, how do you do that? It just. I hope they
Edge
don't
of
make.
Day After.
I hope they don't make a sequel to it. It just doesn't.
If they could make it as good, I'd be down for it, but you're right, they probably wouldn't. It was a fucking badass movie, though. I
was
loved it
awesome.
every second. I want to go watch it again just to experience the fun. It was a thrill ride.
It was a
I just said that.
It was Universal Studios.
It's like I'm trying to get on the VHS box. It was a complete and total thrill ride.
Exhilarating.
Masterful action. Tom
Masterful.
Cruise is amazing.
Masterpiece.
Yeah, guys, comment below. Let us know what you thought of the ending, because obviously if you're watching this, you've probably seen it. It is a spoiler review after all, unless you're just really lazy. But comment below. Let us know what you guys thought of the ending. Did the ending bother you? Did you love the movie? Is Emily Blunt at the top of your hot chick list? She's like number 3 on mine right now, behind Olivia Wilde and Megan Fox, and she's climbing.
Olivia Wilde #1 for me.
Ooh, goodness gracious.
Gotta have it.
Me, goodness God. I'm Mike, he's Jay. We'll see you guys next time.
We watched a movie. Yeah. We watched a movie.